Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. We're here on UNIFY's Women Rising series, and this morning we're going to discuss an old world that's dying and why and what, and a new world is being born. We said, Alexandra mentioned that last time, and people were saying, what do you even mean? How do I know what's happening? How do I look for these signs? Should I be scared? You know, there's a lot of different comments around this. So we wanted this to be our main subject this time. And we'll also get into how to know what to ask for in healing and health and wellness, and let Ondrea lead us a little bit, since we started our 5-day challenge on Tuesday with lots of women from the Women Rising group, and with Ondrea for the Divine Body Reset. But I'll let everybody introduce themselves, beautiful sisters.
Good morning. I'm Debbie G, and I'm coming here straight from Huntington Beach, California. I had to think about it for a minute. Good morning, all of you beautiful, gorgeous peeps today.
Hi, I'm Karen Palmer. I'm coming to you from Solvang, California, and I'm just so honored to be here. What a wonderful topic to be talking about. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Loves. I am usually in Portland, but today I'm in Colorado visiting family. Thank you for being here. Bless you all. May your ancestors bless you. I'm so glad to be here.
Good morning. I'm Danielle E Molella from Millbrook, New York. I'm also happy to be here with these lovely ladies.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rachel Morrison, and I'm tuning in from Loveland, Colorado.
And we have a very, very special guest this morning. Welcome.
Hello, good morning, everyone. It's such an honor to be here. I'm Sheri Herndon, and I'm sitting on the Salish Sea outside of Seattle, Washington. And I'm really excited for this conversation and to be here with such extraordinary women and with all of you beautiful people tuning in.
Thank you so much.
And we're missing Robyn. I wish that Robyn was here with us this morning too, and maybe she'll pop on a little bit, because she is also, Sheri and I work in the world, Rachel does some too, all of us do in some ways, but work in the world of regenerative whole systems community development, or whole systems people development, a full range of regenerative development going on in the world right now. And so we wanted to talk, I feel like since I was a kid, my parents raised me in a really unique way of talking my whole life about a paradigm shift coming on our planet that would happen in our lifetime. And so my whole life I was watching for, where is that happening? Where is that coming? Where is the paradigm shift going to show up the strongest and the most? And it led me to work in the peace world and the interfaith world, where huge awakenings are going on and people working for change on the planet. And then now a lot in technology, economic systems, and health and wellness, the transformation of ourselves, regenerative, holistic looks at ourselves and who we can become, with so many tools that are out there to help us have the best life possible, and even like grasp your superpowers as you learn about your purpose and really find your tribe and find your place in the world. So I want to hand it over to Sheri first to just talk about what she sees in the world with this amazing transformation happening.
Oh, yeah, well, thank you so much. It's one of my favorite topics, I guess, because I believe we are in the process of being reborn in every moment. We can really claim a kind of a rebirth. I feel like that's what's happening to me. And when I say rebirth, I mean, there's a lot of things in the world that we know are not working. And we've been raised in those systems. Most of us have been educated in those systems. We've been trained in them. It kind of carries on through our lineages. And so we're really the great healers and the midwives of a new earth. And I've done, as Miranda, I've worked my whole life looking at trim tabs. Called trim tab that can actually, a small intervention in the system that can shift the entire system really elegantly. It doesn't have to be a struggle. Like the Hopi prophecy says, banish the word struggle from your vocabulary because it impedes your spiritual development. And when you're looking at these things that can make a big difference in a powerful way, it's like, well, what is that? What are we attuning to from what place within ourselves? So really starts with the healing and the healing of sort of the old programs. And so it's a kind of an inside job. I think we hear a lot of people speak about this. Marianne Williamson really definitely speaks about this. And, she's gone from looking at, deep in the Course of Miracles and into running for president. And I think that there's so much to kind of say about this, but I'd love to just seed the ground around that we're awakening as a new species and that we do have new capacities. And that what it takes sometimes for us to actually recognize that we have these new ways of being within ourselves is by slowing down enough to notice what's new. Not what we were told we were, not how we were raised. If I was still thinking how my dad thought about me, who I was, I wouldn't be here in this conversation. So it takes a lot of courage to kind of break through. And then when we're in this new place, it's like a new species. We're evolving and we're consciously evolving. And new species might sound scary, but it's actually like, who are we becoming? There are people who ask, if we are an evolutionary path as a species, are we in our infantile stage or teenage stage? And a lot of people say that we're in that teenage stage and we're still growing up. So I feel that we're actually crossed a threshold into growing up. And that opportunity space for us is to cross that threshold. It's like an initiation. And that we're frequency holders. So the way we are within ourselves is kind of the most powerful thing that we can be. And I think I'll stop there for now.
I would love to ask a question, Sheri, because what you're talking about is that's really deep work. And what you're talking about is something that not everybody even can understand that they have access to. Like when I'm here, don't, I think, how did you say it? Don't do the struggle?
Oh, banish the word struggle from your vocabulary.
So when I think about that, whenever I hear sort of this thing that has potential to heal, this path that you can take to find yourself or find your healing, I think about how it applies to me, and then I immediately think about how it can apply to someone who is having challenges that I can't even understand. So how would you bring this philosophy? And I think it's important to bring this philosophy to people that might be in a marginalized community, somebody who's experienced severe abuse their whole life. How can you bring that to people, that concept to people, without it sounding bypassy, without it sounding, what I mean? How do you bring that teaching to people who might need it the most, with respect to who they are and their humanity, without looking at them as, as the lower, or what I mean? With full respect to them, how would you bring that teaching to those communities?
Oh, well, thank you, Alexandra. That is such a beautiful question and invitation, and so important. Well, first of all, I would say that it's not going to land with everyone in the same way. And it's really like those who are kind of leading the way, as in leading in sort of like a breaking ground, creating the path as we're walking it. Those early adopters. I feel like my job is to then be compassionate and also to love, hear, and embrace people who have been marginalized and create systems, letting people know that actually there are those of us who are really working on behalf of the whole. Because there's probably a story that they're not welcome. I had a really powerful conversation with Dr. Marty Casey of the Ungun Institute during Unity and Peace weekend, and then we had her. I hosted a gathering and a women's council, and she was on the women's council, and she said, you know, I didn't used to be invited to sit at these councils, and my life has changed because I've been invited to sit at these councils. So in some ways, it's like, how can we just be more loving and inclusive and demonstrate ourselves living in this new way, how we are designing systems that are inclusive, because everyone has a unique gift. The more people can actually experience being seen, heard, and loved in a new way, and can feel like, oh my gosh, there's actually that school like that, or this community, or I'm sitting here with these people that I've never experienced this before, and have a felt experience of the new world in the simplest, humblest way. That's a powerful place. And your question, I haven't answered your question. There's just so many doorways, and I would welcome diving deeper with you around that some other time too.
Can I just, I'm just over here floored right now. I'm going to bring myself up. So one of the reasons I'm just sitting here in a moment of really big gratitude, and for those in the audience, because we're talking about something so close to my heart, and that is developing systems where we are all co-creators, collaborating as one, collaborating as a team, collaborating as mutual beneficiaries for the earth, for the planet, for each other and our children, and for those that come after. And I mean, I don't even know how I can say this hardly without getting tears, because we've worked really hard, all of us, to bring these systems forward. We just had a big, huge team meeting yesterday that was initiating this exact methodology of that we are one and that we do business together. It is a conscious way of doing business. Karen was there, Miranda was there, Rachel was there. It was, you know, I don't know how much more I can say other than I'm grateful. There's only one way to do this, guys. The shift has happened. If y'all are sitting there waiting for some big magic pony in the sky to come, you know, say, here you go, let's go, shift time. It doesn't work that way. It happens when you start taking a step in your own life to be that change. And that's what everyone here has done. And the people that you're watching, if you're on UNIFY, that's what you've done, because I just know that. Spirituality Gone Wild, all of the other places that this is being seen out there all across the universe. So we have the choice. And when you get called for the sacred yes, you also have a choice to say yes or no. But if you do say the yes, it's probably the most important yes you're ever going to say. And so with that, I just want to say how grateful I am that you are here, Sheri, and bringing this beautiful awareness to everybody.
I'd like to say something if I could.
Oh, yeah, babe. Go ahead. This is Karen, guys.
So as I listen and as I tune in to everyone's energy and hear the desperation in the people who are confused by this word struggle, first of all, that word is something that is part of the old way of how we've done things, and our word is our wand. And so the more that we understand how powerful our words are, the more we'll realize that we need to be our own best friend. It needs to start with us really, really loving ourselves, cherishing ourselves, understanding that there's a friendship that goes on in us first. And then that ripples out. And that's what I do with lots of the children, is teach that process of understanding, you know what, there's a lot of things that you can love about yourself. There's a lot of things that you can choose to be easy. And there's a lot of things that you already do that are easy. So it's more about focusing on the things that are working in your life and seeing how you can expand those things. Being really, really present with each other. Having harmony in your own heart will start to really ripple out into your family, and then out into your community, and then out into the world. So it really always starts with what are you saying to yourself? Are you being friendly and kind to yourself? Are you being compassionate with your own issues? We're all having human challenges right now. But if we can just remember that we are all beautiful beings of love and light, just being in these temporary human conditions, and see each other as that love and light. And it starts with us seeing ourselves first as love and light. It starts with us seeing ourselves first as, how do I have more joy in my heart so that I can have it rippling out of me? So there's so much that it's just more than enough to share. How do I do that? Well, you have to keep filling your own cup if you're going to give somebody else something to drink. So that's just what I'd like to say to the people who feel like if there is a struggle in your life. I know struggle. I'm a survivor of domestic abuse. I was homeless myself. I know what it felt like to feel invisible in this world. And I also know what it feels like to be a conscious creator, a conscious evolutionary solutionary. I know what that feels like too. So try to see it from new perspective, just a new perception, and just listen to this with an open heart, and just try to be a little more kind to yourself with the word struggle, and realize that struggle is an opportunity for us to see things differently. So when we find a struggle, we can say to ourselves, ooh, yay, here's a struggle. I get to see how I can do this differently. Somebody pushed my button. Ooh, I have a button. Wow, let me dissolve that button so that button isn't going to be pushed anymore. We are that powerful, and we have to really take that power back and not become an illusionary version of a victim in this world. We are not victims.
Karen, I would love to ask you, because I think when people watch this,
yes,
so for some people it's like they're kind of getting it. For some people they're like, what? This is new concept. Let me ask you, from your past where you are now, did it happen overnight?
No, it did not. It doesn't happen overnight. It is a process, but and it's always evolving. Like what Sheri said, it's always expanding. And so, if you're at the very beginning of the journey, I would say just be gentle with yourself. Always be gentle with yourself, no matter where you are on the journey. Even if you feel that you are coming into this powerful mastery over the human conditions, even if you feel that way, still be gentle, still be gentle, still be easy. It's still, let yourself really have compassion for where everyone is in their journey. And, I think that the real word that will change everything for all of us is acceptance. And acceptance starts with ourselves. If we accept ourselves as we are, wherever we are on our journey, we'll start to be able to accept others and not see them as others. I don't even like the word other anymore. I don't even like that word. I have a feeling that we are not others. On a soul level, we are one in the unified field, and we are all part of this beautiful web of love. And that web of love is all of these beautiful strands, and no strand is more important than another strand in a spider web.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, another piece of this too is that and this helps, I think, with finding your true purpose and finding, starting to take this journey in a really beautiful and magical way. That just knowing that everyone is in a transformation of a birth of new self, because the world is. We're in prophesied times right now, and I'm glad that you brought up the Hopi earlier, because that's one of my favorite prophecies. But Grandmother Caroline announced to the UN, that we are in the awakening towards the great turning, 1,000-year cycle where humanity will figure out how to come into harmony with themselves, harmony with each other, and harmony with the planet. And a lot of us even we're also coming in harmony with the cosmos in this time period too, and developing our relationships with angelic beings and ascended masters and galactic realms, and doing our part as a planet and as a species to be responsible and really figure out what harmony even means. And I mean, these prophecies come from Nostradamus, the Mayans, Revelations, the Hopi, all over the place. But they all point towards this time period right now. They all talk about how great crisis will come upon the planet, even like a cleansing, but that comes with earthquakes and fires and disease, big viruses, all kinds of stuff that will signalize the turning towards this cycle. But that in this cycle, we have very rapid transformation of morals, ethics, social awakening, social innovation. Our old systems will go away that are not in harmony. We see corporations starting to fall that are extractive and taking from the people or enslaving people. People are buying conscious products that they know are sourced from conscious sources, and awakening to a different kind of business models and different kinds of world trade and how we can produce food on the planet. Climate change, I mean, just in the last year, so many countries are finally saying we're declaring a climate emergency. We're going to start working towards climate change and heading towards zero emissions and putting carbon into our atmosphere, and do that at a quicker rate than what we put on our radar before. It's an emergency status now. So we see all of these things, and then you can look at it in a way of, wow, what is going on in the world? This is utter chaos. I don't even believe in the world I live in or believe in humanity anymore, especially if you watch the news or politics, which is one of the greatest systems that's going down the tubes, which needs to. But I mean, politics being utterly crazy right now, economic systems being utterly crazy, health and wellness, I mean, going to the doctor and more people getting sick, even talking about the virus, and so many polarized views of what's actually going on. Education, our kids, what is going on with our kids? What kind of school are they even in right now? All of them are thrust into this online school in the middle of the virus, and everybody's questioning what is education actually supposed to be doing for my child? And college is racking up debt, and so many young people are questioning whether that's still the answer and their path. So that's just a little bit of what I can say about the prophesied time that we live in, and an old world ending, old systems ending, old parts of ourself ending that were patterned in ways of shame and blame and guilt, and you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're a woman, you can't do this, whatever it is, all of that can die as we're being birthed to our superhero selves and write our new lives in a new world. I want to hand it over to Rachel for a minute.
Thank you, Miranda. This is such a juicy conversation. And I want to go back to Alexandra's question that she had, because it got me into a groove. And I found what actually happened is I found myself going back to where I come from and where my parents come from, and what I would say to those people now, right? Like, I did not come from a place where we talked about the evolutionary perspective and socioeconomic thrivability measures in whole systems development strategies. That didn't happen. For my friends who know me now, we know that that's all we talk about, and it's pretty awesome and amazing. And we can talk about it in the language that we have for days. But I want to take it down into a deeper part of my soul, which speaks more practically. And go to a place of knowing that, first of all, if you come from a place like where I come from, what's happening right now in the world is not something new. Okay, like we don't know about food scarcity and food deserts. Like we don't know about someone losing their job, or the latest shooting or overdose or pregnancy or welfare situation, or like next level of like, that was totally messed up, I can't believe that just happened thing that happens. And we also know from those experiences how important family is, how important ingenuity of the mind is, right? We all know how to make a hustle and come out of our circumstances on top. And if you don't, you get eaten up alive. And that's just the way reality works in most parts of the world. Okay? So with that, let's just imagine that now the whole world's experiencing what it's like. Okay, great. Perfect opportunity for us to either go one way or another. And for people who have, who don't come from or don't understand or are just finding out about this type of world that is here, as far as knowing that if you expect to be rich, you know it's not going to come from your factory job. It's going to come from your place of figuring out what that factory is needing, or what a different type of factory is needing, and bring it, whatever the it is, right? If you think that your kids are going to get the best education possible by putting them in the public school system and letting someone else figure it out for you, we all know that that's not what's going to happen. If we think that we're going to experience health by going down to the local liquor store, or even just the local grocery store, there's even food deserts in those places. I've been there, I've seen it, because the produce is like so not vitamin rich, right? So it goes back to going out to your garden, getting your chilies and tomatoes, right? And the cilantro and like everything else that you have out there, and making what you know is going to actually nourish your family, right? We grew up with chickens in our backyard. It didn't matter what kind of backyard it was. They were there and we had them, right? And you know, when we look at this whole systems paradigm shift thing, I know so many of us are out there of out with the old, in with the new, and get rid of everything that's not working. I get it, right? A lot of stuff's not working. But let me ask you something, right? If there was a shilling, a value, a token, if you will, that the guardian of the barge that took us from one side of the world shift all the way to the other, there was a token we had to pay. And that token has value. It's not like the token doesn't have any value. So what is it that we're willing to sacrifice? That's a comfort. That's a joy. That is something we're used to, right? It might even be just something so simple as like not having a second trash can for recycling, right? But there's something in our creature comforts that we've all participated in, every single one of us, myself included, that have gotten us to the point to where we are today. And so what part of my creature comforts am I willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice to actually make that turning point? Because if every single one of us made that for real, we would have an exponential growth in transitioning into the right direction. So I hope that helps answer some of the conversation in a practical way.
Absolutely. It is what we do in every moment. And Danielle, we haven't heard any from you, and then I want to give it back to Sheri a little bit, and then we'll switch over to our next subject here.
Yeah, I was, a lot of stuff has come up with this conversation. There's been, for me, it feels like it's what's happening in the world has been another way of separation in us, is what has happened in my view. And it's not comfortable, but it feels like the more, I think the answer is to go within our own personal work, but there's a huge population that isn't doing any of that personal work, isn't doing anything to grow or look at the change. And there's some severe stubbornness in wanting to keep things status quo and keep things what they know, that comfort level that you just were talking about, Rachel, and not letting go of what is not working anymore. And what it brings up, it's like, is it enough for us to keep working on ourselves and having that ripple? Is the ripple enough? Will it eventually get there? Is there more that we can do to like take away that separation? There's either the people that are growing, and then there's the people that are staying. And I just think it's an interesting conversation and what our roles are in it. The other thing is, like, there's grief. There's so much grief about it. It's like the shedding, when you really are, shedding that chrysalis as a butterfly, and you're coming out, the discomfort and the grief. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that part of it, that it feels, there's a lot of that with the growth and the love that we're exuding. There's also the leaving behind, which is going to do us all good, but there's feelings in that.
I'd like to address a question in the audience to some of the people, and I'd like to throw this at Sheri, because I love Sheri, and I think that she's such an amazing wisdom keeper, and she shares so much of her love and wisdom, and I'm so grateful for that. A lot of the questions people are asking are, do we have a choice? Do we have a choice as humans? Do we have a choice to have a different world or is this just predestined? Because a lot of people are saying, I don't have a choice. There is no choice. And maybe we can all kind of chime in on that, since we've all had the experience of feeling like we didn't have a choice, and then feeling the empowerment of knowing that, yes, I do have a choice in this. So let's see where that goes.
Okay, I guess I'll start us off. What a great question. And thank you, everyone who's really in the inquiry of what's possible. I think the old way, let's just say old way, the kind of the world that is no longer serving all life, says we don't have a choice. I think that's one of disempowerment. We're victims, that we're really shifting from a worldview where there's a lot of victimhood, and we've seen ourselves as victims, but that's a worldview, and that's a way of believing about who we are and what we're capable of. And we can actually choose. This is like one of the gifts of this realm and this life is actually, we do get to choose. So claim that. Whoever isn't quite yet landing with that in your own life, it may sometimes feel like you don't, but actually you do. We are choosing every single moment. And sometimes there'll be like a story. So we live inside of stories. Some people say the universe isn't made up of atoms. It's made up of stories. So we can tell a better story about what's possible. We're actually in the creatorship of shifting paradigms. And we have this this, like Buckminster Fuller said, we didn't come with a manual for Spaceship Earth. I actually believe that we're learning what that manual is from like the way nature works and operates, and that we are nature, and that we can design and create from a really different place. So absolutely, we have that freedom of choice, and it goes really, really deep. And I'll stop there. Yeah.
Wow. So I'm just like kind of tingly everywhere and grateful right now. One of the things that's coming forward for me is this whole conversation around choice and victim come up is a big one. The reason it's a big one is I say, without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark. And if we know what victim syndrome is, that means that we've experienced things in our life that were really tough, and we have empathy for that. But within those experiences, there were some patterns and belief systems and perspectives that got put into place. And what I'm here to tell you is that choice is a perspective shift. And I want to just share how I've done a couple of these things, because we've all got trauma and PTSD in some way or another. If you had a perfect childhood, you may have had a brat sorry for those that were brats when you were young, but you may have had a brat on the playground that was just like, you're ugly. I don't like you. I mean, whatever, like that could have happened. That causes PTSD. Let's face it. So does child molestation. So does being in a car accident. So does almost dying. So does all of the challenges that we face as a human being. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to say it. Being a human causes PTSD. It's a direct effect. They should have put this in the warning label when we were born, but they didn't do it. Given that, what we're saying is that there's a different choice to not have to live in a state of being a victim. And what does being a victim look like? Anything that is not in joy, anything that is not, within your heart conscious space, anything that's outside of you that you're judging, that you're not holding in the most highest space of compassion. So it's beautiful if you are looking at your life right now going, it sucks. And you're really in that crap of, of victim, because that's a beautiful space to be. Because baby, the only place else you're going is up. You're going up. And how you go up from right there in that second is by making the choice to look for something in your life right this very minute that is good. Something, anything. You can find something. Do you have running water? No? Okay. What do you have? Anything. If you do have running water, put your hand underneath it and feel the softness of the flow. Feel the appreciation come through you that Mother Earth, that Gaia has brought this forward into your hand. Thank the people that went and built the streamlined system for the water that is coming out of your faucet. Thank the people that have put the roads down that you're driving on. You can always find something to be grateful for. And that is my way of sharing how I have shifted from being one of the best victims on the planet. Dear golly, I did win awards. I know, because I have them, like Grammys, for being really, really in my stuff. Being in my stuff was really selfish in my world, and loving others and getting out of that and just being in gratitude. You can shift, make a different choice, and that's how we all show up. But I'm done with that, and I'm going to pass it on. And
I just want to say something for a second, Deb.
Oh, beautiful. Yes, baby.
You're beautiful. All of you are beautiful. I just love being here with you, sisters. Uplifting, beautiful in the human transformation realm every day with our lives. And someone in the chat had said, well, if you have to deal with being shut in because of the virus for another year, or you have to deal with the world in chaos like it is right now another year straight, would you still be doing the same thing, I think is what they said, which I'm not even sure what the question means exactly in doing the same thing, because every day we do something different. But I wanted to hand it over. Yeah, Alexandra. Take this.
The answer for me anyway, the answer is that is the work. Is no matter where you are in your life, is coming back to that place where you're, however you're doing it, whether your work is and your path is and your perception is there is no struggle, or the passion, or your work is, or whatever heals you is I always have a choice, or it's empowerment, whatever it is for you, however you're perceiving it, because there is no one way, there's many ways. That is the work at your very lowest and your very highest. There is many actually interviews and a great documentary on the genocide in Rwanda in the 80s, between the Hutus and the Tutsis. It was apocalyptic. People were chasing each other down with machetes, the worst atrocities you could imagine, to just kill each other off. And I might miss her name. Somebody in this group actually might know her name, but her name is Mary. And she has done a lot of talking on what it was like to be hiding during this genocide, active genocide, not a slow governmental genocide of keeping people in neighborhoods and taking food away from them and not tending to their mental health care. I mean, like actually having blood spurting in the streets. So if you're thinking about like, a year from now in COVID, think about like that extreme, right? So that what we're experiencing now is not the same as what she was experiencing. It was a very different experience. She talks about being stuck in this bathroom for many, many, many months with 4 other people. I think their pastor saved them in the bathroom. And they were in this tiny little place. They were drinking water out of the back of the toilet. The only food that they would get was like gristly bits from the pastor when he could give it to them, because there's a lot of patrolling, right? There's a lot of, this is a situation similar to Anne Frank. Okay, similar in how they were hiding and how they had to hide. More than once, people came to that house to try to find them. And there was a time when she actually asked the pastor to move this chest of drawers up against this door so they wouldn't see her. So she heard these men coming to kill them. I think even calling one of them out by name. They said they were here in this house, right? And so they're in this little bathroom, and she talks about what she went through, the struggle, the nastiness inside her. Like she hated people, all this stuff. And then she got to a place where she was like, oh, I don't even know all the things she said to herself, but along the lines of like, I have a choice. I am more than this. I am, I am deserving of something better. Like the way she talks about it, of course, is so different. I've never been in a situation like that. So I don't want to like sully what she said, but to answer to that, it's up to the individual. And we've said this today in this talk, in this discussion, is that it's up to the individual and their given circumstances whether they make the choice to look for something better, a higher vibration, to look for a different perspective or not. And from this place, what I'll say about choices from a place of Indigenous West African spirituality, which is what I study, which is what my initiations come from, there is that you might have your spirits and ancestors that are like, okay, we set you up with a destiny, a nature, and a purpose. And you have all these potentials. You can initiate into these potentials or not. Even if you initiate into these potentials, you can choose to follow through with your responsibilities, burdens, and gifts or not. But you always have a choice. As a matter of fact, sometimes you are given things that come to you in a way of like, you have to do this to get this. You have to do this for your family. And even in those times, there are choices. And sometimes you have to work to find those choices. And sometimes they're obvious. And I think that's very true in the practical sense of like how we're living our lives. Sometimes the choice is very easy in front of us. Like maybe I don't get my tire fixed, and maybe I do just take the bus, for a couple of weeks until I have the money to fix it. And sometimes it's like maybe the choice is just to fix my mood about it in this moment. Maybe that's the bigger work that I need to do for myself. I am not a victim in this situation. Something will come, and I'm going to figure it out. So that's what I would have to say about it.
Alexandra, that was amazing. And I read that book. That was like the only book I've ever read in a day.
What was her name?
I could not put it down.
What?
It was spectacular.
No, what's her name? It's Mary, right?
I don't know her name. That was like over 10 years ago.
Immaculate, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It was such a good book. Yeah. And one of the things that strikes me about that book that I think is really relevant to this conversation is the adaptability of the circumstances, right? Let's face it. We're all kind of in some way or another, as Debbie said, going through a bad trip. And what's happening right now is that we have to have the ability to build our tolerance so that we can build the capacities. Yeah. Right. And, you know, not everybody gets locked in a bathroom during the genocide and have to deal with all of that. But I think a lot of us have had kids and know what that's like to have to adapt, right? Whether you have one or whether you have 5 or whether like 10 kids just show up at your house for a summer party, you just figure it out. You adapt, right? You lose a limb, you just figure it out and you adapt and you just go with it. You find yourself in 2020, you just figure it out. Yeah. And you adapt and we get through it because that's what we do. And that's how we got here. That's how our genetic codes showed up here, right? We didn't just like get lucky. We came from badasses from one way or another that figured it out and showed up, kept going, listened to the impulse, and did what they needed to do to evolve out of their circumstances, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We've all had compounded traumatic stress syndrome, guys, right? Like that's what it's called. That's like the term. And we can all show up and we realize that we are all in this together.
Yeah, and my first thought when I saw that post was, you know, in a year from now, will you still keep, you know, saying what you're saying, doing what you're doing, if this is still happening? Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, I have 5 kids. My partner has 6 children. We live in a household of 15 people. 10 of them are doing homeschool right now because of the virus shutdown. So we don't have a choice
of adaptability here, guys.
We don't have a choice but to find the amazingness. The kids need it. We need it. But I feel blessed for that every day. I say that all the time, that I feel blessed for my life because we don't have a choice but to make it amazing and make it innovative and figure out the next best thing. We cannot let the kids drown in crisis. We have to still protect them. We've had to create a new world on our own. We're right now writing the scripts and the blueprint for a YouTube channel on how the kids can learn how to do earth bag building and planting a garden and everything that we've been doing this last summer. And we go for a hike, 3 times a week. We try to and get up the mountain. We do everything that we can still do inside of the virus and not let it have to say, you're just staying home and we're going to keep you here in some kind of oppressive, non-hopeful state. We do everything but the opposite of that. So am I going to still be doing that in a year, even if they're saying we have to be shut down? Heck yeah. And better. We're learning how to get better at it all the time in this weird, crazy world. And do I think it's going to get more crazy from here? Yeah. I think the next year is gonna still ripple with a roller coaster of systems going down, truth coming out into the forefront, and nobody knowing how to handle that yet, which causes a lot of roller coasters of turmoil, and we have to learn how to roll with it. But you can also learn how to make it an amazing adventure and talk about it and create sisterhood circles and be there for each other and learn how to be nice to yourself and give yourself self-love and care in this time period.
I think it's always, if we look at it as an opportunity, all the contrast and the discomfort that we feel in this is an opportunity to grow within it. I mean, people are going back to their roots. We're going back to the primal things that worked, and the systems that aren't can fall away if we allow them to, and just find and discover within this what we're really meant to be. Soul purpose,
We're also being shown that we're all in this together. No matter what we look like on the outside, we're all in this together. We're all having this human condition together. And I think that this human condition is showing us how to be adaptable. And I would highly recommend every person on the planet read Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, if you think that this is hard. If you think what we're going through is hard right now. Viktor Frankl was the most incredible and the most beautiful soul to share his own experience from a place of empowerment. One thing that I think has helped me so much through all of the different experiences that I've been through is I'm the common denominator. I am the common denominator in every one of the experiences that I have been in. And so if I can look at what is my role in this experience, where did I start to see myself as being allowed to be abused? Where did I believe that I was unworthy on some level? And how can I stop thinking like that so that I'm not having that mirrored back to me by the law of attraction, which is a universal law? How do I start to really empower myself by seeing the truth of my magnificent being of love and light, who I really am? I think that people hold up flashcards to us sometimes saying, is this you? Is this you? And if you say, oh yeah, I kind of am not worthy, or yeah, I kind of am not all that strong, or maybe maybe it's okay for you to disrespect me. Only this much though. I'll only have it this much. I won't have it more than this. But if we start to see each other as we're all in this together, as we really respect and have dignity for each other, seeing everyone as their true self, as their true magnificent self, not the human form that we are here in this experience of what we see of each other, but really looking into one another's eyes and seeing the truth of us as we are all in this together.
That's actually a really great segue because we're getting really close to closing. What a radically just awesome audience today. We see all of your comments and your messages. We can't get to them all. I've been trying to put them up on the screen because you're all important and worthy and deserving. And we are actually going to talk about the two people who aren't here is Robyn Davis with the Mothership Alliance. Please send her lots and lots of love. Go and check out our interview yesterday on Spirituality Gone Wild. It was crazy good. And Ondrea Lynn. Ondrea Lynn is the author of a book called Born Enough. She also has a 5-day divine body reset going, and it's free. And the link, I'll put it here into the chat. It started last week, but you could just go in and keep doing another round. We don't start the 21-day journey of elevation until 11/1. So you still have time. Well, what's cool is that there's 3 of us here who have been partaking in the Divine Body Reset. And if anybody wants her book, I'll put that in the chat too. You can actually go to Spirituality Gone Wild and get her book too. Or OndreaLynn.com, either one. So Danielle, there we go. I have it too.
I actually went through her 21-day program before too in April or May after I interviewed her the first time about her book. And it is amazing. I mean, it's amazing enough to just go through 21 days, do it again, 21 days, because you realize things that you want to just make a new commitment towards each time. And she's got body, mind, and spirit and emotional realm all in there so that you're making commitments and learning tips and tools each day with that. And our intention with this too is to create an even stronger sisterhood circle, which is why it's a challenge, and do it together. And we're all doing it. We'll all be in it together and be able to be giving feedback and watching our lives and what it does for us in this time period. While you might be shut in at home or bored to death or needing to know where to start with what do I ask to get towards the amazing life I want to have, which is all tailored by our choices and our choice to challenge ourselves to start to step into that. What does it look like? The magic.
I love that. And what I'm excited about, and I haven't taken the 21 day, the 5 days. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And it's not hard. And guess what? If you haven't started and you're signed up right now, again, you can just go ahead and come on. And it is the prerequisite for the 21 days. So you must do this, okay? To get you into the flow and to the energy and vibration. But here's Miranda, isn't this true? She works with our archangels during this 21 day process.
Yeah.
Yes, she does.
Oh, okay. So I don't know about you guys out there, but that probably excites me more than anything is that right there, working with the archangels in Divine Body Reset. And, I'm going to need the archangels when I start moving my body in the ways that Ondrea is directing us on the screen to get our booty moving, And the nice part is it's also on an app, so you guys can do it straight from your phone. You have no excuses. I'm sorry. You're going to sign up and you're going to be moving that. You're going to be moving and jiggling like all kinds of stuff. So Miranda just put one of the links in. You can join the free Divine Body Reset. If you have any questions, message Spirituality Gone Wild. Spirituality Gone Wild, it's not a book. That could be an interesting book, right? Yeah. But it's actually a network and a website where it's a cool club for conscious people, man. That's what it is. It's a cool club for the cool conscious people. Anyway,
awesome. The first time I saw Debbie and Karen in Spirituality Gone Wild, and they were just going wild. Like, I have to be a part of this. That's how I met these beautiful women. And playing the Peace on Earth by 2030 game. And I wanted to leave it with Sheri to end us off too, so that women know how to connect with you, how to find you more, and anything more you want to end us off with this incredible world we're heading towards, and anything more from your inspiration that you see.
Oh, wow. Well, I would say that simply, give yourself more love. And the simplest thing of loving ourselves, and it's pretty incredible. And even heart and hand on our bodies, because we are navigating through, we've never been here before. These are crazy times. And like what Rachel said about our adaptability, we are adapting very, very fast. And so that love, no one can give us this love like we can. I mean, it really is amazing. It's like we are connected to source. We're connected to infinite source. So we have like that infinite connection. And I'm just speaking from, there's so many other words. And I would say that what comes from that place is then also trusting your own inner navigation. Like, this is why the word sovereignty is so important now. We are reclaiming what we know, not what we read or what we heard or the news. Oh my God, we need the new news from the spiritual gone wild news, exactly, is like trust yourself, and then support someone in your life in a new way. Like, give love where you might be like, I just don't really want to call that person back or deal with that thing. Do it. It's just so nourishing. So we are in a process of loving ourselves more, nourishing ourselves, tuning ourselves to our inner guidance system, which is really going to be needed. And then learning how to navigate together, we're all in this together. So, and finding me right now, well, the website is coming. So SheriHerndon.com, that is happening. And then Sheri Herndon on Facebook and Twitter. Those are real, or Instagram. You can find me in those places. for now. And I am launching, I've had a podcast for 6 years. It was called Heart of It All, but it's relaunching called Thriving Together. So just that'll make its way out into the world in the right moments, but that's coming. I love this group of women. Yes.
Thank you for everything that you've done in the world, Sheri. You've been a pioneer in this field forever, and it's just such a great experience to have you in this space with us.
Yeah, thank you. Feels it's a powerful group and a lot of wisdom. A lot of wisdom, and that wisdom is flowing out into everyone that is listening.
Yeah.
Everyone, we're igniting each of you in your own way, like Alexandra said. There might be resistance. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but you get a choice to be what you would like to be, and that is like superpowers come alive.
Aw, thank you, beautiful women. Is there anybody else that has any other announcements or anything we need to say before we end?
I just want to acknowledge in our audience and between us as well is that I want to acknowledge that we all come from different backgrounds and different privileges and different perspectives, different accesses to different resources. And I want to appreciate that people are able to say what they want, and also appreciate that we're all going to come at this from a different way, and that this audience is willing to hear that and absorb it how they will. There's so many perspectives of absolute truths, and they're all in the room when we're gathering together to discuss things like this. So I just wanted to acknowledge that in everybody listening and everybody in the room.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, audience. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for all your questions, comments, and being in the real journey as we all try to become more conscious of who we are and where we can go and what's going on and all of that. So thank you, and I love you, beautiful sisters. Thank you for being here again today. Everybody have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.